Today, you're going to log into Tinkercad and start working on the game board for your tactile game. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go to create a new 3D design. So log into your dashboard, and once you get to your home page of your dashboard of Tinkercad, you're going to log in, see 3D designs, and you go create a new design. If by chance you logged out, I put the class code back up in the Google Classroom of the assignment for the materials for today. Your username is going to be your first name, last initial, no periods, no spaces. So we're going to create a new design, and we're going to name this your first name. So the first thing we do is click at the top and rename this. So we're going to name this Burke, and we're going to call this Game Board. Game board, because this is going to be, you're going to have two files that you're going to include, the game board and then the pieces that you're going to create when you come back on Wednesday. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to hit enter. So this is, we've created our game board. First thing we're going to do is we're going to drag a box in that is a hole. So use the top one. And this is going to be, to make this easy for you guys, we're not going to change the measurements at all. So we're going to keep this box exactly as it is, 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. So when we click on one of these bottom corners here, we can see that the size is 20 millimeters wide, 20 millimeters deep. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to keep it just like that. We're going to eventually end up cutting it out as a whole, so it's not a big deal how tall it is. So we're just going to leave the cube exactly as it is. So now here's what we're going to do, and this is going to make your life very easy if you follow the instructions exactly as I'm about to give them to you. You cannot hit any extra keys or do any other key presses for this to work, but I'm going to teach you how to get and duplicate and make everything nice and neat and make it easy. So what we've got is we're just drag this one block in, and this is going to be where we want, we're just going to put it somewhere on our board. And we're going to click on the shape one time. Now you're going to do all of this exactly in order. So click on the shape one time. We're going to hit the duplicate button. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hold left click, not anywhere where there's a box, but just on the shape itself. We're going to left click and hold. We're going to also hold down the shift key. What the shift key does is it locks the model in place so it doesn't shift forward and backward on it, just goes left and right. And we're going to move to the right, and you're going to notice that you're dragging the duplicate straight out. And we want to drag it out 23 millimeters. And we're going to let go of both buttons. So when we let go of that 23 millimeters, now we haven't hit anything else. You're going to notice it put a little gap between the two hole shapes. Now, before I click anything else, super important, I'm going to go back up to the duplicate button. I'm going to hit it again, and you're going to notice that it dragged another block exactly 23 millimeters over. I'm going to hit the duplicate button again. So that's going to give me 4 blocks that are all shaped a little bit apart. Now you can click off of your shapes and go back to what you're doing. Now, when I look at this, if I zoom in and I get real close, you'll notice that I have a little bit of this is going to be where we're going to have that ridge in between our models. So we've got our holes are 20 millimeters. They're going to be 20 millimeters with a little bit of a wall that's going to be in between them. Okay, so we've got our 4 models across. What we're going to do is then we're going to make this 4 models going down. So the way that we're going to do that now, so this is kind of going to be, gets a little bit different, but what we're going to do is we're going to select all of them by dragging a box around all 4 of our models that we just did. We're going to hit the duplicate button. Now, we're not going to hold down the shift key because the shift key just lets us move laterally, like left to right. We're moving front to back. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to, after we hit the duplicate key, we're going to hold down just the left mouse button anywhere that's not a size or a cube shape of it. Hold down the left mouse button, and we're going to drag down on our field. Same thing, we're going to drag down 23. Now, one of the things that you notice, you see 2 numbers. And if I go up and down, you see this number is going 31, 35, 46. That tells you how far off center you are. So you want that number to be 0. So you have to kind of be careful with how you're moving this. So that number is going to be 0, so it's lined up. And we're going to make this so they go 23. So what you're looking at is 0 for your left and right. and 23 for your front and back on the work plane. And so once you get that, 0, so lets you know it's perfectly lined up. 23 is going to give me, means I moved my cube 20 millimeters plus an extra 3 for that gap in between. Now, before I hit anything else, I'm going to hit this duplicate button again twice, and it's going to give me all of my cubes. And again, it just, once you do it the one time, you just hit that duplicate button before you hit anything and you're good to go. So now this is going to be, these are the cutouts for our game board. So you notice that we have 16 cutouts for the game board. So what we're going to do next is we're going to group all of these together. Now, because we don't have any solid shapes on here, we can group these together and make them a group of holes, which is what we're going to do. So we're going to group this together. And now we've got these grouped together as a set of holes. And why we did that is because we're going to move and manipulate and move this around. So now I can move all of these holes around so that I can get what I want to do with them. We're going to move this up out of the way just for a little bit. And we're going to bring in and make our base, the actual board that we're going to be cutting out the holes in. So I'm going to bring a base in. And the first thing we're going to do is change the height of the base. So we're going to click this top one in the middle. And the height is 20 for the cube. And we're going to make the height 5 millimeters. We don't want the board height to be 20 millimeters tall. We want it to be, just enough to hold the board, to hold the shapes in place. So we made it 20 millimeters, or it's going to be 5 millimeters deep is what we've got for our model. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this base is going to be 95 millimeters by 95 millimeters. Okay. So this is going to give us the base of our board. So it's going to be, let's change this. I don't like that. Yeah, no, that's good. We've got the 5 millimeters. So we got a nice solid base here. So this is going to be the base board of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this over. We're going to kind of get it close. Doesn't have to be in the middle. We're just going to drag it so they're kind of touching each other. And what you want to do is drag a box. So hold down the left mouse button, drag a box around both models so that you select everything. And then we're going to use either the keyboard command of L for alignment tool, or if you go up here, it looks like the little bar graph where it says align. We're going to click the align tool. Now, here's what this does for us. This makes it super easy because this is going to make sure that our shapes are all lined up. So the first one that we're going to do is, if you look at this bottom one here where it goes, and if I hover over it, it lines everything up to the right from the center. This lines everything up middle to each other. This one lines everything up to the left corner. We're going to line everything center. So you'll notice it put everything, model is centered left to right. Then what we're going to do is if we rotate it around, we want to center it again. Do we want it all the way to the front? Do we want it centered middle, front to back, or the edges touching at the end? We want to align it so it's in the middle. So what we've done here is if you have this middle block, it's going to align it front to back directly in the middle. This one here is going to align it left to right directly in the middle. Now, we're not going to worry so much about this one because we're going to change this, but right now, this is your height. These are aligned at the bottom, so they're both flush on the work plane. These would align it so it's in the middle of each other, and this would align it so both shapes are at the top of each other. So we want to just keep that one where it is. So we're going to then click off of our shape, and you'll notice that my holes are lined up and everything's ready to cut out. Now, we don't want to cut them out just yet because if we rotate down and we look underneath, you can see that the holes are actually going to cut all the way through. And that would be really bad for our game board because our game pieces would fall right through. And we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do now is click on, and you can go to either side view or however you want to do it. So we're going to click on the hole shapes that we'd already grouped together. And you're going to see your move tool, which is the black, looks like the Christmas tree. And what I want you to do is you're going to click on it, left click and hold. And then you're going to move up towards the sky. And you're going to notice that you're going to see the 0 tells you how far you are from the base of the model. It gives you 1 millimeter. Then you're going to go 2 millimeters and you're going to go up 2 millimeters. What that is saying is the base of your hole, or the base of this hole shape, is now 2 millimeters from the bottom of the work surface. Now you notice we've got this plastic under, so with that 2 millimeter gap, that's going to give us 2 millimeters of plastic underneath. So it's going to give us a nice base for the model. Once you get that done and you've got that raised up, we're going to drag a box around both of the shapes. We're going to group them together, hit the group button. And there it is, bingo bango. You have got and created your game board. So this would be your game board. So we've got everything created for our game board here now, and you notice that it doesn't have it's got a solid base on it. We've got these nice little walls around our shapes, and so then what we're going to do next is we're going to work on putting together the tiles that you're going to put into your tactile game. So this is going to be your board. So when we're done with this, you're going to hit the export button to export your game tile. This would export it, download it directly to your Chromebook, and this would be the file that you're going to attach to your tactile game assignment. Let me know that you're done with this so that you've got everything set up and ready to go.